Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. There is hardly a difference. When you're looking at the establishment of each side, it's the same damn thing. We don't call it the uniparty for nothing. That's exactly what it is. Whether there's an R or a D next to their name is totally irrelevant. If they're part of the swamp, then they're a swamp creature. That's pretty much how it works. But at least for the voter, there's a decision to be made. Continue with the status quo, enable the status quo, enable the establishment like Democrat voters are doing. They're just aligning themselves with Nancy Pelosi and the rest of these goons, or take the hard path and start cleaning house. Well, I think Republican voters have made their decision, and next on the chopping block, the next target is none other than RNC chairwoman Mitt Romney's niece, Ronna McDaniel. And friends, I think she might be done after this one, as a Ronna McDaniel scandal drops, and I'm sure you won't be surprised to hear this, but she's essentially just like the rest of them. Surprise to absolutely no one. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. Let's get into it. Let's roll the tape. Alright folks, take a look at this piece from the Red State. Exclusive. Analysis of RNC spending since 2017 shows millions of dollars were spent on private jets, limousines, luxury retreats, and Broadway shows. Back in 2010, RNC chair Michael Steele was heavily criticized and eventually lost his position because donors were angry about what they believed was luxury spending on private jets, floral arrangements, chauffeur services, and member meetings in expensive tropical locales. Donors were used to frugality from the RNC under the George W. Bush administration, when, quote, Karl Rove would if there were flowers on the table, and staff holiday parties were catered by Chick-fil-A. Despite Joe Biden's economy and 3 straight cycles of election losses, the RNC's big spending days are back with a vengeance. Perhaps because of these losses, both RNC donors and committee members are intensely interested in the committee's finances, particularly the spending. Late last week, Red State was provided a report dated October 7th, 2022 that examined the RNC's 2021-2022 spending. It calculated more than $500,000 in private jet expenses, $64,000 at clothing retailers, and $321,000 in floral arrangements. Take a look at this breakdown. Luxury travel, $1.365 million. Private jets, $505,000. Floral arrangements, $321,000. Home improvement and decor, $166,000. Entertainment, $76,000. Food and beverage delivery, clothing retailers, non-clothing retailers, alcohol, spending tens of thousands of dollars on each. And this is just the spending during the 2021-2022 election cycle. It's even worse when you tabulate the numbers from 2017 to now. Our review found that the amount spent during the 2021-2022 election season seemed to have been par for the course and possibly even lower than previous portions of McDaniel's tenure. According to the FEC filings, since 2017, the RNC has spent $3.1 million on private jet services, $1.3 million on limousines, $17 million on donor mementos, $750,000 on floral arrangements, and $80,000 in alcohol-related expenditures. These people are just living it up, and they're doing it with your donor money. When you donate to the DNC, you donate for one reason and one reason alone, and that's to win, to unseat Democrats, to get fiscal conservatives in positions of power with a hope of getting the government's balance sheet in check. Well, very simply, folks, the RNC can't even get their own damn balance sheet in check. They're living a life of lavish luxury, very simply without having to work for it. You know, I'm not the type of person to hate on anyone's success. If you're a multi-millionaire, or even a billionaire, and you're living a life of luxury that you've earned, that you've worked hard for, I am going to be the first person to cheer you on. But this is something different. These are public servants. These are people who are supposedly fighting for your interest. Yet all they do is charter private flights, flying around the country hosting fancy dinners and galas, living it up with the wealthy political donor class and lobbyist powers, and they're leaving you in the dust. It's a major slap in the face. You know what? I don't often agree with Karl Rove, but him getting pissed off or angry if there's floral arrangements during political events, meetings, galas, whatever you want to call it, I agree with that unequivocally 100%, especially in this environment where the Republican establishment has failed in the last 3 election cycles. You don't get to party and celebrate and live it up, live like a Hollywood star, when you're consistently consistently losing and making all of the wrong plays, when you're getting outspent by the Democrats in the most important races, and as you're getting outspent, you're wasting money living it up, a total slap in the face to American voters and donors. Yet this is all the uniparty establishment is doing on the Republican side, essentially, metaphorically slapping their voters in the face. That's exactly what this is. It's frankly all you ever see from the Republican establishment. Nothing but a slap in the face. Here's a great example of what I mean.
Looking back at 22, some of you may recall, I never said there was a red wave. I said we had a bunch of close races. And looking at each race separately, I wasn't making that up. We had a bunch of close races. We ended up having a candidate quality time. Anybody remember who mentioned that back in August? Look at Arizona. Look at New Hampshire. And a challenging situation in Georgia as well. Our ability to control the primary outcome was quite limited in 22 because of the support of the former president proved to be very decisive in these primaries. So my view was, do the best you can with the cards you're dealt. Hopefully in the next cycle, we'll have quality candidates everywhere and a better outcome.
And the Rubio bill?
Mitch McConnell blaming candidate quality and Donald Trump for Republican losses in the midterm election. He specifically talks about Arizona and Georgia. Mitch McConnell was largely in charge of spending money where money went, and he spent millions of dollars trying to primary preferred candidates in those two states, causing Republican infighting ahead of the election, then moved funding away from those states. Herschel Walker barely lost in Georgia. Well, guess what? Democrats outspent Herschel Walker 3-1 in the state. 3-1. How do you expect to win an election if the Democrat candidate is spending 3 times the amount of money? It's Republican sabotage. They're sabotaging the will of the Republican base. Meanwhile, they're spending millions upon millions of dollars with Republican donor bucks, living it up like they're fancy celebrities. It's a complete joke. There's no difference between Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, and the rest of these goons. They're all the same. They have no interest in working for their voter base. They work only for one group of people, and that's themselves. It's absolutely embarrassing. And actually, speaking of Nancy Pelosi and an embarrassment, here's former Republican Speaker of the House, John Boehner, bawling his eyes out as he commemorates Nancy Pelosi for her incredible political legacy.
Madam Speaker, I have to say, my girls told me, tell the Speaker how much we admire her. So if you couldn't tell, my girls are Democrats. You've been incredibly effective as the leader of your caucus. You know, the younger generation today has a saying, game recognizes game. And the fact of the matter is, no other Speaker of the House in the modern era, Republican or Democrat, has wielded the gavel with such authority or with such consistent results. Let's just say you're one tough cookie.
It's a complete farce. Here is a former Republican Speaker of the House crying on stage at the podium in admiration to Nancy Pelosi, a vile partisan political character who has launched countless attacks on Republican voters, slanderous attacks on the former president of the United States, a person who has caused so much division. It's yet again another slap in the face to the Republican base. That's all Republicans get these days. You know, we spend a whole lot of time laughing at Democrats. Haha, you voted for Joe Biden thinking you were getting $10,000 in student loan debt, and then they pulled the rug from under you. I mean, countless occasions of total betrayal, but the same betrayals exist on the other side. They're countless, they're endless. Betrayal, the corruption has to stop. And that starts very simply with new leadership and voters who are willing to hold their elected officials accountable. They're wasting your money, they're sabotaging elections, and they're working for corporate interests instead of working for you. And that is true on both sides. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like, possibly subscribe to the channel if you guys are up for it. I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.